Hello and welcome to my channel. We are finally almost done with talking about the Goths because today we are gonna talk about the last two clean Goths family, if you can say it like that. We are gonna talk about this household with Benjamin Goth and his family, and after that we are gonna talk about Timmy Goth. Finally, he's gonna get his episode. I know I have told you a little bit about him, but now you're actually gonna know more about him and who is up, what is up with him. So let's just go into this. So here we have yet another Goth family household. In this household, I started up moving in Benjamin and with who he thought, of course, was his brother Tim. They moved in here to this house to be like young men just living for themselves, having a lot to do with women and woohooing and kissing and going out on dates and stuff like that because both of them is romance sims. Um, as you can see, it's not what it is now. It's not what it is anymore because who is living here now? Who is living here now is Benjamin Goth, who is the brother. He's the half brother to Cassandra and Alexander. And his parents are Dina and Mortimer. And for what he knows, his he has a whole sibling called Tim Goth, and then he has his half brother Simon, who is the son of Dina and Malcolm. But as you can see, his ties aren't really connected like that. And that is because we, of course, know that Timmy is kind of a unfaithful child and he's a little bit awkward in the family. But I'm gonna tell you much more in depth on him when we get to him, and that is very soon. I know I've told you about him from the beginning, and we haven't gotten to him yet. But we will come to him. But this is Benjamin. He I actually think he was sure that he was gonna be living in the Goth Manor because Alexander moved out, and when Cassandra, um, like I had the feeling he was sure he was gonna be the man taking over the Goth Manor because again Alexander moved out, and Cassandra was of course just Cassandra, but Mortimer yeah, well, he said no. Cassandra is living there now with her husband Don and her kids, so they're gonna stay there. Um, I feel like Benjamin maybe resented that a little bit, but of course he kind of understood because his older children siblings should of course be able to do that. So he moved into this house instead and took his little brother with him, and here he got his first daughter, Willow Goth, and Willow is the daughter of Benjamin Goth and Kiera Oldie. And as we know, Kiera is a romance sim, so she is not interested in keeping her kids. So far, she hasn't been. So she rolled no to keeping Willow, and I actually thought that Benjamin probably also would roll no, but he rolled yes. So he chose to keep his daughter Willow. So she was living in this Goth Manor house with her dad and her uncle Tim for a long time. But as time went and the Goth brothers were trying to figure out what they wanted in life other than doing their jobs, Benjamin kind of had this feeling that he needed to be a true Goth. He saw that Ivan, his well, what is it called? Ivan, his not his cousin, but his sister's son was kind of someone he had this what's it called? Not fighting, but they were competitive against each other, I'm pretty sure they are actually friends. Yeah, they are friends, not as much anymore. But I feel like they have always have this competitive side against each other. Um, and he could see that Ivan hadn't found anyone to marry at that point yet. So he was like, "Well, I can settle the Goth name with children first. Then I can make sure that the Goth name have more children to go for. Of course, like Alexander had his, but they were not as serious. But he could at least." He felt like he could be the big guy that actually had the true Goth children. Um, so he ended up getting married to Luna. Um, and the awkward thing there was that, well, he knew that Luna had a kid. He just didn't know that the kid was actually Ivan's son. And I'm not completely sure that Luna have told Benjamin, but I feel like Benjamin, just by looking at Theo, can tell that Theo is, of course, Ivan's out of marriage son. Theo got allowed to, of course, move into the Goth house when they got married. He was a teen at that point. He just came home from college. And I feel like Benjamin is okay with him, but they're not friends or anything. And I feel like he finds it a little bit weird. Mm, that his wife has a son with his sister's son. um, but I feel like he, as another goth, just hits it away and just don't think about it. It doesn't matter. Because his marriage to Luna is anyways just a facade. I feel like both of them knows that they are, well, they of course love each other, but they are not gonna be faithful at all. Both of them are gonna go out and have other people, uh, like flirt with other people and stuff like that. But they are gonna have this facade, which was good for Luna because as a burb, she didn't have like this big family name or anything. She wasn't even called a Pleasant anymore, because she had the last name of Burb instead. So this was a good way for her to get one of the famous names. Um, and they kind of made an agreement on, well, if we get married, we can get the kids and have this whole facade, and then we can have fun in secret and with other people in the background. Um, so yeah, and together they got these two kids, Ollie Goth and Nadia Goth. And I'm pretty sure they are twins, which is quite interesting because none of their parents is family sim, so it's not because of the aspiration trait thing, but yeah, they have twins. But I feel like for now it would be easier to go in just talking about the specific sims, so we can get to know them a little bit better. And here we have a close up on Benjamin. He has gotten a little bit chubby through the last couple of years. Before he was actually fit most of the time, but as a true romance sim, he is quite lazy. That was when I still chose their aspiration, looking at their star sign. But yeah, as you can see, he is a romance sim. He is quite sloppy. He's quite outgoing. He's lazy. He is playful and nice. His bio says Benjamin has been lucky to have the goth money and has planned to use them wisely. Though he loves to flirt and meet new people, after getting his daughter, he wants to give her a somewhat normal family life. With Luna as his now wife, he is sure he can give his daughter this, and maybe flirting can be done a bit more in secret. It isn't Luna he is worried about when it comes to that. And with that, I mean that both him and Luna, of course, knows that they are both romance sims and they like flirting with others, and affairs is quite normal. But I feel like he don't want to give that to his daughter. He kind of want his daughter to have a normal family life, especially now that his daughter's mother didn't want her. So he wants to give her that real family feeling with with both her parents there, even though her real mother isn't there, but maybe Luna could be. But if we just sneakily look into Willow, I feel like it's kind of too late already. um, but yeah, if we look into Benjamin's memories, he has a lot. He is going strong in his years now. There's of course still some time before his elder years, but he's zoning in on that. Um, he in his teenage years, he had a lot of people he flirted with. Many of the townies. He even kissed Tessa Ramirez. Here is his first kiss with Kiera, the baby mama of Willow, and they had a woohoo on probably a date. And everything was going quite good. He then were on his first date with Luna, and they were together there. Um, so everything just it looks like it's been the same ladies he has had the most to do with. Um, but that's sometimes just what happens. In college, he fell in love with Luna. He also had a big fight with Mike Tinker, and I think that was because Luna was she was flirting with both Benjamin, she was flirting with Mike, and she was also flirting with Mike's twin brother Malte. She was all over the place, and I also feel like that was the point where Benjamin saw that Luna was completely like him, flirting with other people and having stuff to do with them. And the reason he is enemies with Mike is because Mike is a family sim. So he got really hurt and betrayed by this. So he was actually one of the only ones getting really hurt by this big flirting drama in college. And at the same time, he also had a flirt with Hope. She was at the college at the same time as the others. So there he finally found someone new. He even fell in love with her. He lost a fight and won a fight with Mike. um, but ended up graduating. Not something big, but he graduated at least. He moved back home, but I feel like shortly after, and not feel like, but he shortly after moved, I think, into this house he's living now. He got a job, and first here, if he fell in love with Kiara, and they were a bit together, but nothing big. He apparently had a woohoo with Hope. Luckily, nothing came out of that. As you can see, work was a little bit up and down, but at least it was there. I feel like this was the moment he maybe conceived Willow. Yes, it was, because he was on a date with Kiara again. And that was shortly after she told him she was pregnant, and she said that she didn't want to keep the baby, so she was gonna send it to the social services when it was born. And he was like, oh no, I kind of want that child, because it's a goth child, so it shouldn't just be sent away in nothingness. It should be with the goth family. Which I feel like was a big thing of him and was a nice thing of him to do, because it would have been really harsh to lose his baby. I feel like he was again on a date with Kiara, so they kept being together even though she didn't want the baby. I feel like Benjamin understands why she did that, because that wasn't really a thing in her life. She kind of just wanted to be free and having fun. Um, I thought so. Okay, actually, I forgot all about this. Actually, he tried to make her the goth lady, the goth wife for him, but she rejected it. Okay, that's really interesting. They didn't really want Well, I think already there he had the plan that he needed to have this facade, and I guess Kiara was noping out of that big time. Even though they had a kid together, she didn't want to have this whole facade thing up just because of a name. Um, at this point, he bought a business with his brother Tim. They bought a big sports place, but in the end, they didn't really have time for it. So Tim took it over the most of the time, but later on he ended up just selling the thing because it didn't work out as he wanted to, and he kind of was missing some money at that point, so he sold the thing. But we're gonna get to that. Um, at this point, Benjamin wasn't sure what he was gonna do, because he knew that if he should be a true Goth with a true Goth family, he couldn't just have his daughter. He needed that marriage. So he engaged to Luna. They made a deal that they are gonna be engaged and married, and they're gonna have this family as a facade, and then they can do whatever they want in the background. Um, this lousy party is nothing to do with Benjamin per se. It was mostly, I think so. Yeah, no, it wasn't even. I don't know why this is here. But yeah, he ended up getting engaged to Luna, and it's of course bad memories because he is a romance sim, but he knew that that was the best thing to do for his image, and it ended up being a great wedding. At that point, his brother was still living in the house, and he kind of was like, "Dude, I have a family now, and if this thing should work, I need you to move out. I know you moved in here together with me, but I want you to move out." And at that point, Timmy was at a point where he kind of just wanted to stay single. He had a short time where he maybe could have been with Carly Ramirez, but he just didn't want to go steady with anyone. He just wanted to have fun. But in the end, he tried to marry Diana Starks, one of the poor girls in town. He kind of liked her a lot, but it wasn't like uh, that important for him. But since his brother was just going for the marriage thing and could even have this whole deal with Luna, he felt like, okay, well, I can have that deal with Diana too. But Diana, in the end, couldn't go through with it. The thing with Diana, she is a fortune sim. Um, of course, I'm gonna get to it, but so it would make sense for her to move to marry rich, but in the end, she left the wedding and couldn't go through with it. I guess she couldn't go through with this whole having a facade of a marriage. She actually want loves too. And not long time after that, Benjamin and Luna ended up getting twins, and that's where they are now. There has been a lot of death in. No, Cassandra died, and after Cassandra's death, Iwin, as I told you, moved all the graves in the Goth Manor to the now the official Goth cemetery. So that is why these memories are here. And he was, of course, sad that his aunt died, even though he didn't have much to do with her, and then his own mother died. Um, he remembers these two getting abducted. That's interesting. But yeah, that's a little bit about Benjamin. It is a messy story with the whole Goth family, and it keeps being messy. I feel like in Pleasantview, it's so hard not to make the Goth family being really messy because of, well, Don and Dina mostly. Um, but yeah, that's at least what happened in my game. So let's move on to Luna. And here we have Luna. Of course, she is called Luna Goth now, but I think she will always see herself as a burb. She's really proud of her family and who she is. She is a romance sim, as you can see. She is quite sloppy, but not too much. She's outgoing, she's lazy, she is playful and quite nice. Her bio says, "Is Luna is honestly just living her life. Even now with the new marriage, she doesn't plan to slow down. Benjamin understands the need to see other people, right? Right. He knows how she is, right? So even though they have this deal about the marriage being a facade, it's always a little bit of a iffy thing. At least she doesn't want to be tied down. I think for her, she has a bigger need of seeing other people than Benjamin had. And her getting into this marriage wasn't necessarily to have love, but to get the money because she with her job she never really got she's not getting a lot of money and it was going really slow but now just moving in and marrying in rich was way quicker money for her. um, and if we look at her love life, she of course have been with Benjamin, her what's it called husband, and she had a flirt with Malde. She shortly had something with Carter too. I remember it as in teenager she is, but nothing big. She of course had something with Ivan, but when she got married, um, her and Ivan made a deal that they shouldn't see each other anymore. Also, they shouldn't maybe see each other too much as well. They could see each other, but just not as lovers or anything like that. Both for the family tie is now a little bit awkward, maybe, but also so their son isn't like Theo knows. If I remember correctly, Theo knows that it's Ivan that is his dad, and I feel like he kind of wants to be there, but because Luna chose to keep him, he never really had anything to do with his dad. She also had something, of course. She has been all all the way around. She had a little bit with Timmy as well, not Timmy, Tim. And when she got married to Benjamin, she of course called that off, and Benjamin was quite shocked that Luna even went through the marriage. But he was like, "Okay, well, you get your money, I guess." And his brother had the whole time through made it very clear what he wanted. I don't think Benjamin actually knew that Tim had something to do with Luna before, but it's messy with these romance sims. She, of course, and she has had a little thing with Ian Bale. Apparently, I don't know who it is. Her old maid from the Burb household, she had a lot to do with, but the maid, and it's kind of stupid, but one day when the maid was cleaning up in the house, as maids do, he, can you say, caught Luna being with her husband, which is like, duh, what do you expect? But he at least got mad at Luna, so she still loves him and stuff, but I'm pretty sure if we look at him, he doesn't like her at all. She had a flirt with Mike Tinker in college, but he really got mad at her for having flirts with others. She still really likes him, but he really hated her. Um, and she had a short fling with Billy when they were teenagers. They were best friends at that time, but now it's kind of just fizzled out. I feel like if she contacts him now, he would be, nope, we were good friends, but that was the past. Billy now is a place where he wanna find love and not just friendships. But yeah, that's her love life. I think she's one of the from the sim that has been born into the game is one of the people that actually been with most. Um, so yeah, she has been around. If we look at her memories, it looks like a romance memories. The childhood things aren't too important. Yeah, her first kiss were Billy. They were best friends for a long time. Um, so I was kind of shocked that she wanted to kiss him because they were just best friends, and I feel like she didn't want to hurt him. But yeah, they had their first kiss together, but I'm pretty sure nothing else happened between them. Shortly after, she had something with Tim, so already in teen years they had a fling together. And she had a little bit to do with Malte, and she fell in love. So already in the teen years, she was going for the romance thing. And that was also the point where she was with Benjamin, and they were even together for the first time. Um, this was when they were teens. I don't think I grew him up because they didn't have a tight relationship, so it wasn't too important. But she apparently kissed him when they were teenagers, and then shortly after she went to college. After being on dates with Tim again, apparently. At college, she of course had this whole drama with. Oh, I guess Ivan was at that college too, so she had a little bit to do with him there first. Was that for the first time she had something to do with Ivan? I feel like, yeah, okay, well, that's interesting. I actually thought it was earlier. But I feel like that's, or maybe that was the point where she found out that Ivan maybe could be an interesting person to be with. So they had a thing together. That was where she also had something to do with Mike. She even fell in love. She also fell in love with Ivan here and Benjamin. And her falling in love with Benjamin, Mike noticed that and he got really pissed about it. So that was really dramatic, and he started to fight both his brother and Benjamin at that point. He was really not happy about it. But she was just going through it. She didn't care. It wasn't her problem, right? Um, and they on a mess lots of dates and woohoos, and she got expelled. Of course, she didn't do college very well because, well, she only focused on love and nothing else. That was the only thing that meant anything to her. And this was after college. She moved to, I think she moved back home, and shortly after, she had her first woohoo with Ivan, and that resulted in a baby. She wasn't. That was quite of a surprise for her because until now she had just couldn't. She just could woohoo with whoever she wanted, and nothing bad would happen. But this time, a baby came out. And I think from there she kind of just cut Ivan out because she knew that the whole having a baby out of marriage was a little bit not so good. At least when it was a goth. And I feel like Ivan had the same feelings about it when Luna said that she wanted to keep the kid and they didn't want to get married. Um, Ivan was like, well, he's not gonna be a goth then. So at that point, Theo was just a burb. Theo was a burb for many years. And from there, she just kept going with dates and falling in love with people and woohooing and keep woohooing and being a romancer. I think this is a dormy, honestly. I feel like he looks like a dormy, but this is after college. I guess she invited him from the dorms to Pleasantview to go on a date. And then she had the whole thing with her maid. Um, And first here, she had a kiss with Carter. I actually, okay, that's late, but I guess she needs to have someone for her adult life too. I have the feeling that these two could have more to do with each other, maybe have a little bit more of a flirt because nothing more with them have happened yet. So that's something new. She of course got engaged to Benjamin and they got married. And from there, it's been like you already know. She had her kids, and that was where the maid found her with her husband, which is still a little bit weird, but that it is what it is. It's fine. So I guess the next one she's gonna pursue is gonna be Carter. I feel that that would make sense. She wanna hit those 10 woohoos, and I feel like she's gonna get it. Yeah, but that was Luna. Let's talk about her son Theo. And here we have Theo. He just came home from college. As you can see, he is a knowledge sim. Um, and he has been a knowledge sim from the beginning. He never cared about romance, at least not as his parents did. Of course, his dad is also a knowledge sim now and is a secondary romance. So he has the knowledge somewhere from somewhere. But yeah, he is a sloppy sim. He is outgoing, active, a little bit more serious, and he's nice. His bio says Theo know he should be happy to be a goth now, like officially. But not because his parents are happily married. No, she married another goth. So is he really the goth he should be? What should he be? So I feel like because of the whole thing with his parents and now his mother marrying another goth member, I feel like he's kind of in a identity crisis because in his teen years he had the feeling that he should be with the goth kids and be like he should be respected as a goth. Um, but because he was only a burb, he didn't. But now when he finally had the goth name, people still didn't see him as a goth because he didn't get his last name from his mom's now husband. And again, people don't know that he is a son of Ivan. Um, so I have the feeling that he feels like he doesn't know what his identity is and who he's actually is gonna be in the future. Because is he really a goth when he like I feel like he just doesn't feel like he is in the place where he should be, and I honestly feel the same. Because he's a knowledge sim, and this house is full of romance sims, and it's kind of chaotic. At this point, the Goth family is more romance than knowledge, and that's kind of wild, I feel like. But let's look a little bit at his memories. Maybe his relationships first. Yeah, he had some with Shiloh in university. Before he also had something to do with Willow, but Willow ended up being with another one. But I'm pretty sure he had a flirt with her at some point. Maybe not. Maybe that's another one. But at least he had a little bit to do with Shiloh in college. But let's look at his memories. He has, of course, his children years, and they are what they are. He was the person that went steady with Yasmin in their teenage years. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And he was quite happy with this. He really wanted to be with her and was actually ready to wait for her for after college. But then he met Shiloh right before college, and he felt like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Of course, he had Yasmin, but was really what he wanted? And then he fell in love with Shiloh, and then I think he tried to backpedal a little bit and be like, oh no, let's go back to Jasmine. I'm not gonna go the same route as my family members. I'm gonna keep being with the woman I am going steady with, or the girl I'm going steady with. Um, and I feel like he kept doing that until he went to college. The thing is, in college, Yasmin is not going to college before this round. So in college, he was kind of alone. Beside Shiloh. So even though he wanted to be faithful and wait for and wait for Yasmin, Shiloh was there and he maybe felt a little bit alone. But I have the feeling he's feeling really bad about this. And I'm not sure if he's gonna keep waiting. The thing is, if you remember with Yasmin, she is maybe not as faithful as Theo think she is. Um, but he's gonna figure out, I guess. We will see where they end up. For now, he's here, not looking really happy, trying to find out who he is, and if he's gonna wait for Yasmin or if Shiloh is the girl he's gonna pursue in the future. And here we have Willow Goth. Willow Goth is, as you know, the daughter of Benjamin Goth and Kiara Oldie. She's never really had anything to do with her mother. Of course, she knows her, but they haven't really done much together. I guess they have met at what do you call it, like at community lots, and maybe there talked a little bit together. But I don't remember that actually had anything to do with each other because again, Kiara didn't really want to have anything to do with her kids. Maybe that's gonna change in the future because Kiara finds herself a little bit alone now, but oh well. As you can see, Willow is a romance sim, so Benjamin's wish of not being a, what can you say, a bad influence on Willow didn't really happen. She is really sloppy. She's outgoing, active, playful, and nice. Her bio is empty because she's still quite new as a teenager. As you can see, she has already fallen in love once, and that is with Bran Bear that we looked at in the last household. If we look into her memories, we can see what she has been up to. Nothing much actually. That's interesting. I remember before Theo going to college, they actually had bolts together. And I feel like, of course, they are not siblings because their parents they are from different partners of their parents. But if you look into it, it's always so difficult to see who they are actually in further relationship, like family relationship with. But he is, maybe we can find it. Okay, here we have Ivan, and Ivan's son Theo is the son of Luna, and Luna is, okay, let's see. So, what is Theo for Benjamin? Okay, I don't remember the name, what the English word for. I know it's for girls, it's niece. Is it the same name, the same word for boys? At least Ivan is Benjamin's male niece. I don't remember the word. I'm sure there's a word. I'm sorry, but yeah, there's a word. So what is Theo for Benjamin? At least he's something. It's not too far away in the family line, right? So Willow would have some kind of family type. At least for me, that was way too close for even being funny. That was not like, no, that was not gonna happen. Even though Willow, of course, didn't know that Theo is the child of Ivan, I feel like that was just not gonna happen, and I feel like Theo, because Theo knows, he made sure that it was not gonna happen, because Willow really tried. She, first of all, she really tried to be a ACR, having kisses and flirts and stuff like that, and I cut it off every time. Either I cut it off or Theo did something else. So that nothing happened. I'm pretty sure that nothing happened. Then it should have been on community lots or something like that. That was a relationship I didn't want to explore in at all. So I was happy that Theo needed to move to college quickly afterwards. But let's look into her memories. She doesn't have a lot of memories yet because she's quite new into the teen years. But she, of course, fell in love with Bran. She had a kiss and made out with him, and that's kind of what they have done so far. Nothing more. And if we look here, she has some bald with a couple of boys, but nothing much. So I think she still needs to meet a lot of people and find the people that she wanna, how can you say, have some fun with. But yeah, that was Willow. And here we have the two twins. I think we should start with Nadia. Of course, the memory is not gonna say much because it is what it is, but we can look at their personalities. They are gonna grow up in, well, next time I actually play this family, they're gonna grow up, so that's gonna be interesting to see how they look. Nadia is quite sloppy. She's really outgoing, she's quite lazy, and she is playful and quite nice. That is kind of what we know about her. Of course, we know that she's a Libra, but that doesn't mean her aspiration is gonna be anything specifically. We're just gonna wait and see what she rolls when she grew up to a teenager. And under her, she has her twin brother Ali. And Ali, he is Aquarius. He is sloppy, he is outgoing, active, playful, and nice. So they're quite different in personality. No, not that big of a difference, but they at least have some differences. So I feel like they're gonna go different ways in life. But yeah, that's kind of what we know about the two twins. Other than that, we can shortly look at this house. This house layout is so weird. Like, it's really, really weird. The entrance is here. This is upstairs. This is where the adults sleep. This was Tim's old bedroom, but now it's Theo's bedroom, and I guess it's Theo's bedroom again because he is here after college. In here we have Willow's bedroom, and for now the two twins are sleeping in here. I feel like when they grow up, I need to look at this layout because when I moved Benjamin in here with his brother, it wasn't my intent that they should have a lot of kids or anything like that. So it's too messy in here for, like, the layout and the space is not enough at all for this family to be here. And this is downstairs. They have the kitchen, the dining room, and they have a big TV because, of course, it is an old a single man's home. Uh, so there should be a big TV. Luna has been here and put in a little bit of a female flair into it, and also with the beddings and stuff like that. But yeah, this is the goth. I think this is the last goth manor per se, but we are gonna have one or two more goth families to go through a little bit later. And finally, we are here to the one and only Tim Goth. This is the house he's living in. This was where he moved in after he moved out from the other household that we just came from. This is the house he's living in. I guess we can start with him. We can start looking at his house because he's the only one living here, anyways. As you can see, there is space for more. After he sold the big stadium, he had a lot of money left, so he bought a big house. Not because he's planning on having kids or family, but he got a big house. And he have bought a lot of expensive furniture and stuff like that to make it look homey. But as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of soul. He It not because he's not necessarily great at designing, but because he probably hasn't found himself yet. But let's look a little bit closer to Tim. So with Tim, I feel like we need to talk about the elephant in the room, because Tim is born in the Goth family, he was the son of Dina, and as you can see, his dad was Don Lothario. And as we know, Don got married to Cassandra in the beginning of the game and got his firstborn child Ivan, and then Suna, and then Ellie. But in the between of all of this, he also got Tim. Because in the beginning of his and Cassandra's relationship, he still had a fling with Dina, and that was in the same time where Dina had something to do with Mortimer still. No, in the beginning with Mortimer, and she just got Benjamin at that point. And shortly after, she fell pregnant again. Um, I made it so she had Benjamin with Mortimer because I felt like she would have a kid with him. So even though it's not necessarily even possible with him being an elder, I made it possible. Um, and shortly after, she fell pregnant again, and that was, of course, with Dawn. But I feel like Mortimer found out because he was clever enough to see that that is not my child. I am too old to be the dad of this child. I'm not sure what we're gonna do here. But he also knew that it was in his last time of life and he didn't want to go through all the hassle of divorce and drama and what about the Goth name. So he went with his annoyance about it silently, and he took Tim in as his own. So Tim grew up with knowing, or at least thinking, I think it's how you used to say it. Tim grew up thinking that his dad was Mortimer Goth. He was a full-blood Goth. With his mom was Dina, and everything was good. His brother was Benjamin, and they had a great time together. That was what he grew up with. That was what he thought. That was what the whole family thought. Ivan thought the same. Cassandra thought the same. Alexander thought the same. Suna thought the same. Alice thought the same. Everyone thought that. It was only Nina, not, I'm sorry, it was only Dina that, of course, knew because she had that affair. I don't even think that Dawn knew. I don't even think that Dawn actually thought about it. At least not in the beginning. Later on, he found out. But Dina was the only one knowing for the longest time. I feel like Mortimer knew, but he didn't bring it up. He didn't want to have all that drama in his life, so he never said anything. And Dina just kept up the lie that Tim was Mortimer's son. It's first in the later years, actually, when Dawn died, that Tim has been gotten a little bit suspicious and not sure what is actually the truth. Because when Dawn died, all of Dawn's fortune went to Tim. None of it went to Ivan, none of it went to Suna, and none of it went to Ali. Because Dawn knew that these three uh, would have lots of money from Cassandra. They would be fine. Dawn got a little bit of money when he divorced Cassandra, and he saved everything up, and ended when he wrote into his will that Tim would get the money, but it would be anonymous, so Tim not wouldn't know why or who he got the money from. But of course, when Tim got the money and none of Don's actual kids got any money, and he of course knew that Don died, he got a little bit suspicious and found it weird. At this point, he couldn't really talk with his mom about it because his mom was with Malcolm, and he wasn't sure what actually to do. Um, and I don't think it went too long before Dina also died. And maybe Dina even died before Dawn died, but at least Tim never had the chance to ask anyone. So now he is just here alone with the knowledge that maybe he was never an actual goth, like by blood. Um, and that has kind of turned his world upside down. It had made a lot of things more weird, and the family tree is more complicated for him to look at, and everything is just woven in the weirdest way, and he's not sure that he should tell anyone. He wants to speak with someone about it, but who should he speak with? Um, and with that said, I feel like we should look at his personality. He is really sloppy, a little Don there. He's outgoing, he's active, playful, and he's quite nice. In his bio, it says Tim thought the single romance life was the life for him, but he slowly sees his brothers and cousins going away from that and slowly marrying. He tried that and he got left. Him. What is the world? And there is just that one thing that confuses him. People have been talking. Is Mortimer actually his dad? Is he even a true goth? And what I mean with people have been talking is everyone felt like it was really weird when Dawn died. No money was given anywhere because people knew that Dawn had taken, of course, gotten some of the divorce money, but it was a lot of money. So how could he have just spent everything on nothing when he moved to the elders' home? Because when he got divorced, he moved straight to the elders' home. And as you can see here, Tim has a lot of money standing here. He is the only one actually that actually got any money. He hasn't told anyone about the money there, not even his brother Benjamin, because he is afraid that he is gonna be looked frowned upon because he is essentially what you would call a bastard. He is married out of marriage and even in the worst kind of way. Um, so yeah, he is really split, and in the same time, he hasn't found any stability with anyone. He has, of course, because he's a romance sim, he has had some flirts here and there. He has been with a lot of people and stuff like that. Um, and um, and yeah, let's look into his memories and we can take it from there. So Tim had his childhood thinking he was Mortimer's son, so he was really good with really good friends with Mortimer and stuff like that. He had his first kiss with Luna, as we know. At the same time, he got really good friends with Carly. At that time, her name was Carly Ramirez. As we know now, she married into the Thomas family. And he actually ended up kissing her and falling in love. And that was where we thought, or at least Carly thought, that they were going to be a couple. She wasn't sure though. So she had, in the middle of this, she had a flirt with Christian. But in the end, Tim got back to Carly. Because even though he was talking to other ladies on other girls and stuff like that, he didn't really found anyone else he was interested in at that point. He was flirting a lot with people, but nothing more than that. So he ended up going steady with Carly, just to have someone. And she wanted to, if she wanted to be steady or nothing. So that was kind of the situation he was in. They had a kiss, and he had his first woohoo with her. And from there, he was sure that it was just gonna be those two. But then Luna came back into his life, and and they had a good dates together, and he started having something with Hope, and from there things just starting hitting a little bit more off with other people. Um, so in the end, he wasn't really faithful. He had a lot of other people to be with. He then went to college, and in college he really fell in love with Hope. At that point, he was only in love with Hope and Carly. Um, I had the feeling that he had more in college, but the college years kind of focus a lot of studying. He ended up graduating. Um, I guess he was in college at the same time as Sune. He then moved out. I think he moved back home. Um, that was the point where his parents got divorced. No, well, he didn't know his parent, but that was the point where Cassandra and Don got divorced. So that was, of course, a big thing in the family. He then had a woohoo with Luna and really didn't find a way to be with other people. In the middle of all this, he started flirting again with Carly. Um, but because of him being with a lot of other people, Carly found out that this was not the way for her, and she, of course, turned him down in the end. And then he found Diana. If I remember correctly, Diana is a couple of years younger than him. And because of that age gap, it wasn't like big or anything. He wasn't sure that it was a good idea. But then again, most of the people in his age range or elder were with his brothers or cousins or anything like that. So he kind of needed to look elsewhere, and he ended up finding Diana. She was a poor girl though, but in the end, she was sweet, and they had a kiss, and they actually had a lot to do with each other. And he was had this feeling that maybe this was a good starting point for him to start up this love life. And he kind of hoped that he could have had the same with her as his brother Benjamin had with Luna. He at least asked her about it, and she said yes because she was like, well, that is big money, and honestly, she liked him, so why would it matter too much? And the money would only be a good thing, right? Um, yeah, see, this is one of the memories I want to get deleted because this is just weird. I don't know. He would never have done that because he knows that, and this is where telling a story is hard in Sims, at least with ACR, because the Sims doesn't know the story. So if we can just delete this, I'm gonna delete it in SimPE at least, because he wouldn't kiss his essential sister. No, it would just wouldn't happen. But yeah, it happened on a community lot too. Ah, Sims are so weird. But yeah, as you can see, Diana ended up backing out of the wedding. At the wedding day, she left him, and I was honestly surprised. I even made sure that he was gonna be the one asking for marriage because I was sure because of his romance sim, he would deny it. But she ended up denying it too. Even though she was gonna marry rich and stuff like that. I was really surprised that this was happening. But it did, and that was hard. So of course the wedding was bad, and right after he got kicked out by Benjamin, not because they weren't friends, but Benjamin was like, "I have my family. Can you go?" um, and from there he just had a little bit of rebounds and stuff like that. I think he was really surprised that anyone would not choose him. Of course, Carly also chose another one than someone else than him, but I don't feel like he took that as a hit on him because he didn't want to go steady with her anyways. And at that point, his eyes were elsewhere. So Carly finding someone else didn't surprise him too much, and as you could see in his relationships, they are still really good friends. And he sees her as a good friend for him, because for him, going steady and having that life with like those two together would never have been a thing anyways, at least not after the teen years. Um, and now he's pretty much just living alone, meeting different people, being a romance sim, doing the romance thing, having woohoos and so on. As you can see, he has no kids either, never had kids. I'm not sure he's gonna get kids in the future either, because he's getting into the years. But after Don's death, that isn't in here. Ah, yeah, okay. So already here he got some money, and he of course he hid that money. That is the 37,000 he has in his bank. But yeah, after this he was just like, what now? What am I gonna do now? So he asked Diana to see him again. He promised her that didn't need to be anything wild, it didn't need to be anything big, he just wanted to see her and they could just talk, nothing serious. And he did that after he wanted to fall in love with her again. He fell out of love with her when she left him. And when they met up, she kind of apologized and said, I don't want to go into a loveless marriage. Of course, I want to marry into a rich family and have money, but she couldn't just go for that facade. And he said that he understood that, but he knew that he couldn't promise her not to be, what can you say, unfaithful, because he liked seeing other people. He, as you can see, really wants to woohoo with 10 different people, and I actually think he would be really honest about that here, at least with her. And I have this, and I feel like at this state, she felt pity on him, and could see that he was really hurt and had a really hard time. So she stayed the night and she were with him. I don't think she got pregnant, but they could maybe have been. We will see. Um, but after spending the night together, he told her his, what can you say, secret about the money, about Don, and about Dina, and the whole weird family thing. He told her he wasn't sure, but he just had a feeling that that was what happened, and he wasn't sure who he was anymore because of that. So he told her a big secret, and we will see if she's gonna keep it, or if she's gonna use it against him, or if what she's gonna do. I feel like though that she is really understanding of him being in a hard place, and I don't feel like she wanna be mean to him. So yeah, that is the story of the Goth son that I haven't wanted to tell you about for so long. It is a messy story, and it makes everything much more messy. But it is also quite interesting, and I'm looking forward to see if he can find out who he is. And that was everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed and found the story interesting. I know I have teased it a lot, so I hope you found it interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!